Good evening, I'm Smriti Sudesh and welcome to About the Fold show. We begin with Iran's accusation that the US has breached the ceasefire, new violence that has gripped Manipur, and a powerful earthquake that jolted Japan, the deadliest mass shooting in Louisiana, updates from the fireworks factory explosions in Virudhunagar, and more. So stay with us for the full report. As the April 8th ceasefire is set to expire this week, President Donald Trump has said US negotiators will travel to Pakistan for talks with Iran, raising hopes for extending the truce. However, Iran has accused the US of breaching the ceasefire while Washington and Tehran remain locked in standoff over the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian media have also reported that there are no plans for Tehran to attend the proposed talks. To discuss in detail, we are joined by our international affairs editor, Stanley Johnny. Hi, Stan. Welcome to Above the Fold show. What are the current updates of the peace process that is underway?
See, Smriti, as we shoot this, everybody is waiting to see whether the Iranians are going to send their delegation to Islamabad.
Right.
Because President Trump has already said that his team will be there in Islamabad. American media is reporting that Vice President J.D. Vance is going to head the delegation one more time. So if the Vice President of the United States is coming to Islamabad, so the question is whether the Iranians are also sending their delegation. So the Iranians as of now say that they are not interested. In a sense, they are not in a hurry to send their delegation. So we will have to wait and watch. But at the same time, the larger, the broader peace process, I would argue, that is still underway since the last April 11th talk that happened between these two sides, in which they didn't reach any agreement, but still both sides stayed in touch. And if you look at the last week, there were three interesting developments. One, President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire in Lebanon, which has been one of the key demands of the Iranians from April 8th onwards, right? So he gave in a concession. And then the Iranians announced that they would open Strait of Hormuz for commercial traffic, and that was a major concession from the Iranian side. But the key sticking point here about this particular development is that Trump, even after the Iranians said that they would open the Strait of Hormuz, Trump said that his naval blockade on the Iranian ports would stay in place. That kind of angered the Iranians. And then Ghalibaf, the speaker, and then the Security Council, as well as the IRGC Navy, all of them issued back-to-back statements saying that as long as the blockade is in place, they are not going to let ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, as we expect the next round of talks to take place, what we have to wait and see is whether the United States would withdraw or ease their blockade, or whether the Iranians would reciprocate by lifting their stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz.
Like you mentioned, if the talks are going to happen, can we perhaps expect a lasting peace deal?
My understanding is that both sides are interested in a peace deal.
Right.
Because, you see, last time also the Iranians said till the last moment that they may not join the talks. But Ghalibaf himself went there, the speaker, with a huge delegation to Islamabad. Because one of the major sticking points at that time, before the April 11th talk, was the war in Lebanon. Now you have a ceasefire in Lebanon. That's a step forward. But you have a problem now in the Strait of Hormuz and in the Gulf of Oman, where you have the Iranian blockade and then the American blockade. So the question is whether they will have a solution on this. The fact that despite these problems, both sides stayed engaged, and the fact that the American delegation is coming to Islamabad suggests the United States, despite the huge gaps that is existing between these two sides, the United States is still interested in pursuing the deal. The Iranians on the other side are also trying to flex their muscles. But despite all the rhetoric, they also haven't abandoned the path to diplomacy. The question here is to find common ground between these two positions. And if they manage to find common ground, I think a deal is at least imaginable.
Thank you so much for this quick analysis. We'll have to wait and see if there is a peace deal or otherwise. Anyways, thank you so much, Stan.
Thank you.
In other news, the death toll in the fireworks factory blast in Tamil Nadu's Virudhunagar has risen to 25, and serious safety violations are now coming to the light at the unit. Here is an exclusive report on what went wrong.
A deadly blast at the Vanaja fireworks unit in Virudhunagar on April 19 has turned into a major industrial tragedy. The explosion occurred around 3:15 p.m. during high-risk chemical mixing, with the toll racing from 23 to 25 after two victims later succumbed to their injuries. In an exclusive account to The Hindu, District Collector N.O. Sukaputra highlighted a key violation. Units are mandated to remain shut on Sundays, yet this one was operating. He also noted that nearly 40 workers were on site, with many gathered near the mixing area instead of being stationed in separate blast resistant sheds as required under safety protocols. An official familiar with the safety regulations said that in licensed units, only a limited number of workers are permitted per shed, with strict distancing between structures to contain the impact of any accidental ignition. A local fireworks factory owner added that licensed operations typically allow only 11 to 12 workers in total, making the scale of casualties deeply concerning. He warned that complaint operators could now face the brunt of a knee jerk response from authorities. The human cost is devastating. The blast flattened the unit, trapping workers under the debris and leaving bodies charred beyond recognition. Of the 25 victims, 22 were women and 3 were men. Later, around 7:30 p.m., a second explosion during rescue operations injured 17 people, including 6 police personnel and 4 firefighters. The Hindu reporter S. Sundar and his camera person narrowly escaped the second blast. The tragedy has once again exposed glaring lapses in oversight in Tamil Nadu's fireworks sector, raising serious questions about accountability and enforcement.
Next, we turn to Manipur, where new violence has reignited concerns over the fragile situation in the state. What triggered this latest flare up and how serious is the situation on the ground? We're joined by our deputy editor Vijayta Singh to give us more insight.
The immediate trigger appears to be the April 7 killing of two Methi children, a 5-year-old boy and his infant sister, who were hit by a bomb while they were sleeping at their home. While Methi civil society groups have claimed that the Kuki militant groups are responsible for the attack, neither the police nor the National Investigation Agency, which is probing the case, has confirmed the identity of the attackers so far. Separately, a BSF Jawan and 2 persons, including a retired soldier, were killed by unidentified militants in Litan area of Ukhrul, which has been witnessing Naga-Kuki clashes since a new government was installed in Manipur on February 4. Hours after the children were killed, a huge mob attacked a CRPF camp nearby, which lies in a buffer zone between Methi-dominated Bishnupur and Kuki-dominated Churachandpur. 3 people were killed in firing by the security personnel when they tried to loot the armory, which further aggravated the situation. For the past 3 nights, civilians have been clashing with security forces, leaving several injured. The groups have called for a shutdown and accused the government of high-handedness. Security forces are on maximum alert and the Bishnupur-Churachandpur highway remains blocked for the past 13 days. Officials believe that the fresh wave of violence and killings, including that between the Kukis and Nagas in Ukhrul district, could be part of a larger design to unsettle the new Chief Minister Yumnam Khemchand Singh. Manipur's Deputy Chief Minister Losi Dikho told The Hindu that the outreach by Chief Minister Singh is being appreciated by all communities and the recent incidents could be an attempt to instigate unrest in the state.
Moving on, Japan is on a high alert after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Iwate Prefecture, with tremors felt as far as Tokyo. Authorities issued a tsunami warning with waves of up to 3 meters expected. An 80-centimeter wave was later recorded at a port in Kuji. The Japan Meteorological Agency has warned that the risk of a much larger earthquake of magnitude 8 or higher is now elevated. Residents in coastal areas across Iwate, Aomori, and Hokkaido have been urged to evacuate immediately. Prime Minister Sanae Takeichi said the extent of the damage is still being assessed. There are no nuclear power plants currently in operation in Hokkaido and Tohoku region. However, several reactors remain shut there, a reminder of the risks highlighted by the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, which triggered the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Also making headlines, a gunman in Louisiana has carried out a mass shooting that is among the deadliest in the US in more than 2 years. 8 children, including 7 of his own, were killed and 2 women were injured in the early morning attack. Police say the violence unfolded across 2 homes in Shreveport on Sunday. The children killed were between just 1 and 12 years old. One of the injured women is believed to be the mother of the suspect children and remains in critical condition. Authorities have identified the gunman as Shamar Elkins, who later died following a police pursuit after allegedly carjacking a vehicle at gunpoint. Officers fired at him during the chase. Investigators say the motive is still unclear, but they believe the incident was domestic in nature. Officials say the scale of the crime has left responders shaken. Authorities say this is the worst mass shooting in the US since early 2024, and the investigations are ongoing. Back in India, a tragic road accident has claimed lives in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur district. Officials said that a passenger bus rolled down a hillside on Monday around 10 a.m., leaving several people dead and many others injured. The bus reportedly crushed an auto rickshaw before landing upside down on the road below, with those in the auto also sustaining injuries. According to Deputy Inspector General Shiv Kumar Sharma, the driver appears to have lost control at a sharp turn in Kagot village. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has directed the administration, police, SDRF, and the health department to provide all possible assistance. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has expressed deep sorrow, while President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have also condoled the loss of lives. Let's now turn to the Hindu roundup for some of our exclusive contents. The editorial, titled Deceptively Benign on Retail Inflation, Oil Import Dependency, argues that the rise in retail inflation is misleading as it marks underlying pressures reflected in higher wholesale prices. It highlights the impact of rupee depreciation, rising fuel costs, and wallet disruptions on imported inflation. While the consumer price index remains within the RBI's band, this is due to temporary factors like delayed price pass-through and localized supply gluts. The editorial warns of emerging stagflationary risks and calls for reducing oil import dependency and accelerating the shift to renewable energy. Tap the card above to watch the full video on our YouTube channel, The Hindu Originals. In an In Focus podcast episode, the Hindus Nivedita Varadarajan and J. Jayarajan, Vice Chairman of the Tamil Nadu Planning Commission, takes a deep dive into Tamil Nadu's economic growth story, from strong manufacturing expansion and rising exports to its ambitious $1 trillion economy targeted by 2030. The episode also examines concerns around job quality, workforce participation, automation, and the sustainability of welfare spending. Here's a snippet.
So, sir, I want to ask you a theoretical question now that we're in the middle of an election season. Every election season, there's a debate. What is a freebie? What's a public good? How do you define what is what? And
I don't define.
no,
Those who define freebie are the ones
Okay.
who think whatever money goes to the poor is a waste.
Okay.
Okay. Whenever it goes to
Rich people.
subsidize, let us say the corporate, they call it as an incentive.
Okay.
So that is the broad kind of a framework that they use. What we use is that whatever empowers people, we think it is a capital expenditure.
Okay.
So not building bridges and roads.
Not alone, those things alone. Okay.
We also include investment in people.
In an interview with Francesca Albanese, United Nations Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories, Munif Khan, an independent journalist, discusses Israel's action in Gaza. Albanese describes the situation as genocide, alleges brutal attacks on women and children, and says there can be no justifications for the scale of violence. Here's a quick look.
My last report on torture and genocide should have is for me the last nail in the coffin in demonstrating why this genocide aims to the destruction of the Palestinians as a people, because what Israel is doing in the dark, away from public eye and public scrutiny, tells all about its intentions over there. What it's doing to Palestinians, to Palestinian women and men, children, and elderly people has no excuses. And people who decide in Europe or in India or in the US not to see, they've made the usual coward choice that people in the past have made.
And next, here's a story that caught our attention. Dozens of Chinese-made humanoid robots took part in a half marathon in Beijing, showcasing how rapidly the technology is advancing. These robots didn't just participate, they ran past human competitors. Several robots finished ahead of professional runners, with the winning robot clocking just over 50 minutes for the 21-kilometer race, faster than the current human world record set by the Ugandan runner Jacob Kiplimo last month. That's a sharp turnaround from last year's debut event, where most robots failed to even finish. Participation has now jumped from about 20 teams to over 100, and nearly half of the missions navigated the course autonomously without remote control. The top 3 spots were all taken by the robots developed by Honor, a Chinese smartphone brand. Engineers say the machines were designed to mimic elite runners, even using advanced cooling systems adapted from smartphones. And finally, after allegations about cracks in houses built for survivors of the 2024 Mundakai Churalmala landslide in Wayanad, the Kerala government has come up with an explanation. Let's take a quick look at the full report.
Kerala government insists that allegations of cracks in houses built for survivors of the 2024 Mundakai Churalmala landslide in Wayanad are baseless. The issue started after reports emerged claiming that cracks had been spotted in a few newly constructed houses at the township, triggering concern and political criticism. Following these reports, the minister carried out an inspection at the site. Addressing a press conference in Thiruvananthapuram, Revenue Minister K. Rajan said what had been reported as cracks were in fact minor shrinkages detected during routine quality checks. He said the issue was confined to just 2 of the 178 houses constructed in the first phase of the township project. Engineers from the Uralunga Labour Contract Cooperative Society identified the markings during the water ponding tests, a standard procedure to assess waterproofing.
ഇങ്ങനെ അവിടെ വാട്ടർ പോണ്ടിംഗ് ടെസ്റ്റ് നടത്തിയപ്പോൾ 2 വീടുകൾക്ക് വെള്ളം കിനിഞ്ഞു പോകുന്നതായി കണ്ടു. ഈ സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ നോക്കിയെടുത്ത് അവിടുത്തെ നിർമ്മാണ കമ്പനിയുടെ എഞ്ചിനീയർമാർ തന്നെയാണ് ആ ഭാഗത്തിന് ചുറ്റും എഞ്ചിനീയർമാർ തന്നെ പെന്നുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു മാർക്ക് നടത്തുകയുണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളത്. ഇത് ദൂരെ നിന്ന് ചിത്രീകരിച്ചപ്പോൾ അതൊരു ക്രാക്കാണ് അഥവാ അതൊരു വിള്ളലാണ് എന്ന വിധത്തിൽ വിവരമറിയിച്ചു. ഈ വാർത്ത വളരെ വ്യാപകമായി ഇതിനിടയിൽ പരക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ താപനിലയിലുണ്ടാകുന്ന വ്യത്യാസം മൂലം നിർമ്മാണ വേളയിലുണ്ടാകാവുന്ന ഒരു ശ്രിങ്കേജാണ് അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായത് എന്നാണ് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട എഞ്ചിനീയർമാർ, ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു കരാറുകാരിയുടെയല്ല, ഔപചാരികമായി ഗവൺമെൻറ് ചുമതലപ്പെടുത്തിയിട്ടുള്ള കിഫ്കോണിൻ്റെ സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യയിൽ അതിസമർത്ഥരായിട്ടുള്ള എഞ്ചിനീയർമാർ ഉൾപ്പെടെ ശ്രിങ്കേജ് ആണ് അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായത് എന്ന് പറയുകയുണ്ടായി.
He added that all houses undergo multiple levels of inspection and come with a 5-year defect liability warranty. The first phase of the township was inaugurated on March 1st, with keys handed over to 178 families, though residents are yet to move in. The remaining works are expected to be completed and houses handed over next month. The controversy has also taken a political turn. The minister's site visit had prompted sarcastic jibes from Congress leaders, including Chandiuman MLA, who said it was a matter of joy that Thrissur has found a skilled construction worker in the minister. Leader of the opposition V.D. Satheeshan also questioned whether a minister was equipped to assess structural defects.
And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts on today's episode in the comment section. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to share it and save the About the Fold playlist so you never miss an update.